Marilyn Manson has been viewed as a controversial person since around 1995. He's an outspoken person and is never afraid to speak his mind. Manson's name comes from two specific people, Charles Manson and Marilyn Monroe. He chose these two people because in the 60s they were the top two people news stations were covering, and Manson found it interesting because of how different they were. This documentary was created to show Manson as a person, not so much his music, and how he's an advocate for creativity in school and concert safety. Manson as a person has had trouble with the law and has been looked down upon because of his appearance and his music. This documentary will cover Manson as a person, his involvement with schools, and concert safety.
I like the idea of teaching. It's probably, in some strange way, what I would possibly do in another reality.
And he'll be standing in for me, so hopefully he should be waiting right outside the door.
Hello. I always try to explain to people that I think that art is far more important than politics. If you're an artist, your goal is to affect people, whether that's in a negative way or a positive way. I think ultimately that is the role of the artist in society. I'm not someone who does not respect religion, if that's what someone believes in, but I don't care for the way religion is used to manipulate people. Ultimately, I think it's the government's way of trying to show us what we know, that art is important. The fact that they're trying to stop it or control what it says justifies what we're all talking about right now.
I love his quote about art as a question mark.
This is really definitely in line with what we've been talking about all semester.
I wasn't even going to come to class today, so, it was a good thing.
It was a huge surprise. I have no idea how our professor pulled this off, but I'm really glad that he did.
I think, there's probably a lot of artists in there that wind up doing something important, and that's a good thing.
In past years, Marilyn Manson has proved to be a very controversial artist and caused uproar at what seemed like every corner. Manson has always been ridiculed over his appearance and seemingly odd form of self-expression. His outlandish music videos and live concerts put many in a confused and uncomfortable state. Many include women and men doing inappropriate things and doing actions that can be hard to watch. All of this and his apparent affiliation with the Church of Satan coined him the nickname of the Antichrist Superstar. At a concert in Jacksonville, Florida, Manson was arrested and charged with violating the Adult Entertainment Code. He spent a night in jail and even went through a psych evaluation. He was then cleared and returned to the general public. A more recent allegation was Manson's involvement with a video depicting a staged rape scene of singer Lana Del Rey. Manson was attached to the video because of a friend of his being the director of the disturbing scene. Manson denied the video involved him and claimed the only work he hoped to do with Lana Del Rey fell through for other reasons. Now, arguably one of Manson's worst controversial allegations was involving the Columbine High School shooting. The two boys committing the crime were dressed, quote-unquote, like Manson and praised him for his artistic work. Even though the public and media blamed Manson for the crime, he was never truly charged with anything, rightfully so. Even though he has gone through many trials and tribulations, Manson always takes the negative attention and tries to put a positive spin on it. He is an advocate for protection in schools and speaks out against many school crimes. Marilyn Manson did an interview with Bill O'Reilly. This was one of his many interviews that people judged because of how much O'Reilly slammed Manson. O'Reilly invited Manson onto the show since he was doing a new segment about children at risk following the Columbine High School shooting.
Marilyn Manson has sold almost 5 million records since 1995 and has delivered some shocking concert appearances. I talked with him last Wednesday, and one day later, authorities in Michigan issued a warrant for his arrest for lewd conduct on stage. Manson denies it, but there is no denying that he is a strange and some say disturbing force in the pop world. What are you trying to get across in the lyrics to these songs?
It's always about being yourself and not being ashamed of being different or thinking different. I try and take everyone's ideals, common morals, flip them around, make people look at them differently, question them so that you're not always taking things for granted.
By the bizarre presentation, which can be misinterpreted.
I think everybody's got a presentation. Everybody looks a certain way because they want to convey a certain image. You look a certain way because you want people to listen to you. I'm kind of shy, and I think that I take that out by performing in front of a lot of people. That's how I get out my shyness.
You're a pretty well-spoken guy, yet in your records you use a lot of F-word, a lot of swearing and this and that. Again, is it necessary to get your message across to use that kind of language? Is it, you use the sexual imagery, you use the shocking physical appearance, you've done some bizarre things on stage, and you use profanity. All of that necessary?
Sometimes. I think sometimes when you're making a point, I don't think that my lyrics are overlaced with profanity, because I myself don't speak using a lot of profanity in normal conversation. But I think when you're making something aggressive and you need to get a point across, if you're angry, sometimes profanity is necessary. It's better to use a curse word than to hurt somebody else, I find. So when you have things like Columbine and you have these kids that are angry and they have something to say and no one's listening, the media sends a message that if you do something loud enough and it gets our attention, then you will be famous for it. Those kids ended up on the cover of Time magazine. The media gave them exactly what they wanted, and that's why I never did any interviews when that happened, when I was getting blamed for it, because I felt that I would be contributing to what I found to be reprehensible.
So you don't believe that your songs reflect any kind of suicide wish or anything like that?
No, I feel that my songs talk about getting through feelings like that. I need to be a writer. I started out as a journalist. I still feel that I am a journalist in a way, because I see things and I report them back to people in my own fashion, in songs or in interviews.
Or in the history of this country, have so many corrupting influences descended upon children at one time, and that most children don't understand what you're doing and why you're using the F word and why you're acting bizarre. And this can be very, very troubling to children who don't have direction, who don't have responsible parents.
Anything can be misinterpreted. People can look at Christ on a cross and think, this is an image of murder, this is violent, this has sexual imagery in it. And it just, I think it's my job as an artist to be out there pushing people's buttons and making them question everything. And I respect you for challenging me, and that's why I came on the show.
Marilyn Manson has been viewed as a very controversial person. Today we have Jared, who will be giving his opinion on Manson based off of his music.
she gave. You wanna know what Zeus said to narcissist? You better watch yourself. You wanna know what Zeus said to narcissist? You better watch yourself.
Okay, so the song you just listened to is Deep Six. What is your opinion?
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. It's nothing I've ever heard before. It's like he has this distinct voice that you can tell, like you can clearly, you know, just like he sings, you can clearly tell who it is, and it's just, oh god, the music is just beautiful. I feel like I can tell he puts a lot of thought into what he does and what he says into his music, you know? Like, it really speaks out to you. It's different from what I usually hear, and especially from music from today, because it's different, and I think that is enough to give spirit to people. I mean, Jesus, I felt better already just listening to it, so...
In 1995, Marilyn Manson appeared in what would be considered his first controversial appearance on The Phil Donahue Show. This 20-minute piece from the 45-minute broadcast covers the topic on moshing, stage diving, and crowd surfing at concerts. Manson believes in concert safety, however, the bouncers and security guards must act accordingly. Earlier in the show, two parents came on and spoke about losing their 18-year-old son after a bouncer pushed him off a stage while he was about to dive. In the entire 45-minute show, this was the only death they talked about. The teen's death was caused by a bouncer and not from the actual dive. Had he not been pushed off, it is believed he would still be alive. Manson and his band talk about what goes on at concerts and give their opinions along with other concert goers.
Marilyn Manson is the lead singer in the band, or the lead player in the band. So this is the music to which moshing activity is attached. Well, here they are, Marilyn Manson, Twiggy Ramirez, and Madonna Wayne Gacy. And you call yourselves, you're Marilyn Manson because?
Because that's my name.
Twiggy? And Madonna Wayne Gacy?
Yes.
You're not going to help us understand the...
Oh, you want to understand where the name came
yeah.
from? I've always watched talk shows. I haven't got to watch yours very often, though. I watch more of the trashier ones, but I found that Marilyn Monroe and Charles Manson, about 5 years ago, when I thought of this, were the two most memorable people from the 60s. I thought it was interesting that things like talk shows put them on the same kind of celebrity status. And I thought that dichotomy of positive and negative, putting those two names together, represented what I had to say and what I was about.
You don't go out intentionally to hurt anybody. If somebody gets hurt in the process, then so be it. That's just comes with the territory. But you don't actually go into the pit and say, yeah, oh, look at that guy, maybe I'm going to go bust his nose. That's not how it works. That's not how it happens.
Exactly.
I want to know why it is that all of you seem to have satanic signs all over you, and what is it that makes... Does this music cause you to do what you do?
Is that directed at us or the parents?
That's funny. Twiggy? That's your little tape recorder?
Cause us to do what we do. We cause the music to do what it does, I think.
Yeah.
I think that moshing is a sign of what Christians would call the apocalypse.
Great gnashing of teeth.
It's, you know, the culture is just getting more and more destructive, and I think this is just a sign of the times.
Yeah. Do moshers know how many deaths have occurred?
Well, the Mitchells are only too painfully aware of one. I don't know of any other.
This is the first I've ever heard of, and one at Woodstock.
Well, but we have a broken back over here. Woodstock, too, featured moshing, didn't it?
Absolutely. That was the biggest pit in the world, and it was great.
There's also a difference between the moshing, I think, which isn't as violent as stage diving. I think stage diving tends to be ignorant. If you're going to jump off a stage, you can only expect to get hurt. We try and discourage people from even coming on the stage, because that's my place of business. If you come where I'm doing my business, then you should plan on doing business, or you're going to get hurt. A lot of heavy instruments and things like that, if you're coming up there, you're going to get hurt. There's a good chance. You know, we try and discourage people from coming on the stage.
Right. How do you do that?
we make an announcement before the show.
But if somebody comes up on the stage, they're likely to be
Well, the bouncers shove them back out, and that's
so
how they end
do
up
you.
getting hurt all the time.
Well,
Yeah,
so-
I do too. If they hit me, I'm going to hit them back.
Right.
All my generation, and I know everyone says moshing is violent, and I don't mosh, but I've been to places where there's moshing. Nobody forces you into a mosh pit.
Exactly.
You know, if you don't want to go, you don't have to. And these people have formed a trust between them that can't be formed in other places.
You can't tell me that putting a bunch of males in the middle of a dance floor going like this isn't asking for it.
No, because I've been to mosh places, and I don't have to go into the pit if I don't want to. Nobody drags me in there.
If you want to go to the club or the show, there's clubs on Long Island. There's Club Smashlight you can go to. You can hang out, have a good time. You don't have to get involved. If you want to get involved, you know what to expect when you get out there. If you have any fear of getting hurt, you wouldn't go out there in the first place. But you're not there to get hurt. You're there to have a good time.
What's to prevent some yahoo from bringing a shiv into this crowd?
9 times out
A
of 10
knife,
when you walk into the
a
club,
pin.
they frisk you.
Huh?
No,
They frisk you?
They got metal detectors.
You have metal detectors. How are you going to get through that?
Well, they take a wand to it. If it's like the collar or something like that, they'll know it's that, but they'll check jackets
They
and
make
stuff.
you pull out your pockets if they feel your keys in there or anything that you have to pull it out, show them what it is.
Right.
People aren't bringing in knives.
And we shouldn't be off-put by your look, as you want us to, I suppose, black lipstick? You know, this is not what your father dreamed for you at this age.
Yeah, but my parents don't mind. They're very liberal on it. They're not like,
And you are drug-free, and you're
Yes, I
not
am.
stealing anybody's hubcaps
No.
or anything else? You're
No.
not
I
promiscuous?
have a legitimate job. I work at a club. I work at a record store.
And this is what you enjoy doing?
Yes.
And you can take care of yourself?
Exactly.
Don't you have a little empathy, however, for the Mitchells and also for the parents of these young? We're talking 17, 16, and 16 here.
I have a problem with the bands or the music unless they encourage it, and I don't know if they do or not. The fact that Chris went on a stage and jumped off doesn't make much sense to me sometimes either. But if it's going to be, you know, I think the club owners or venue that's doing this could stop that in some way or other. The band don't want the kids on the stage, then the kids shouldn't go on the stage. If you don't want them to get hurt, I don't think the bouncers should be throwing them back off.
No, they shouldn't.
You know, not in a violent way anyway. Stopping them from coming up is one thing. Okay.
But this is no. It's not just bands like Marilyn Manson. These guys are great. They're a great band. I saw them open for 9 Inch Nails, and they were phenomenal. But it happens at rap concerts. It happens. We slam dance to the country band at Woodstock. I mean, come on, it happens everywhere.
My purpose of being here is to let these kids know and the parents know that they can. The ultimate is death, and that's what we suffered. I have no problem with the music if that's what they want to listen to. Every generation is going to have their music.
Right.
All right. And you know, I remember when they yelled at our music when we were kids. And we yelled.
I know. I think it's unfortunate that parents don't know what their kids are doing.
You know.
That disappoints me. I think parents should know what their kids are doing. I think parents should raise their kids better, or someone like Marilyn Manson's going to.
Sure. I have to just observe, Mr. Mitchell, as you sit next to Marilyn Manson, nowhere is the generation gap more visible than it is right here.
Everyone's so afraid of death, I think, that they want to get closer to it by fascinating over things like serial killers and horror movies and car crashes, and that fear of that danger at these concerts and these mosh pits.
This all just seems so self-centered. There must be a more constructive way to get rid of anger.
We live in a country where parents raise their kids to grow up feeling guilty and ashamed for not being like them with Christian morality. And these kids need a way to react against it. You're going to have a bunch of angry kids.
You're 17. You wanted to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people always look for the downside of, like, all this events. You know, they always look for, like, people getting hurt and everything. They don't, like, realize, like, how good kids feel. Like, they just get such an adrenaline rush. You feel like you're on top of the world.
Marilyn Manson was asked what music helped him become the person he is today. He listed off several tunes that inspired him, such as We Are the Dead and Cat People Putting Out Fire by David Bowie. Once he started his career, he began making his own songs and was nominated several times for MTV Europe Music Award for Best Rock in 1998 and MTV Video Music Award for Best Rock Video in 1997, among many other nominations. Fans have speculated Manson's work by saying he is corrupting the youth of America and commenting that he is by far the most critiqued and interesting musician in history. Different people have made different perceptions of Manson's work. Many people have perceived him as gothic or controversial, and then there are fans that comment with admiration for Manson. He's an extraordinary musician who has guts. However, Manson dealt with multiple crime-associated situations that changed many views on Manson. Manson was charged for sexual assault, and in 2013, in an interview with Larry King, Manson claimed that he was being blamed for 36 school shootings, including the devastating Columbine High School massacre. Therefore, Manson created a title for himself as an American goth rock performer. He has shown that he does not care about the way the world perceives him. He cares about the way he perceives the world, by saying, "I created a fake world because I didn't like the one I was living in."